You talked about protecting American lives. I'm just wondering where you stand on what merits investigation, because within the first month or two of President Trump's time in office, he authorized a strike in Yemen that killed an 8-year-old American girl. So that's not necessarily protecting American lives. We didn't have any, no one looked into that. There were no investigations like we saw with Benghazi. Where do you draw that?
Look, I appreciate your premise, and you have a right to be wrong, and in this case you're wrong. President Obama fired more drones, fired more weapons against targets that included women and children, and in some cases Americans, than his predecessor.
I agree, and Trump has already surpassed the number of civilian deaths in Syria and Iraq than Obama did in his entire presidency.
You know, you can always look at your numbers. President Obama inherited wars that were coming to an end, but he made a decision to withdraw completely, allowed them to ferment, allowed Syria to fall into other hands, and he didn't do it because he's a bad person. He did it because his interpretation of what was to be done turned out to be wrong. We could have similar discussions about George W. Bush.
What about Trump killing all of those civilians in Syria and Afghanistan?
Well, first of all, that's your statement. In a war in which almost nobody wears uniforms, but they kill each other, a discussion of what a civilian is very different.
But you began this conversation with the premise that Obama had killed more civilians, so you were going...
No, actually, I responded to your statement, and you said that, and what I said was that he had fired more drones and hellfires and so on against targets, including civilians. So, or actually including women and children that were in those facilities. I looked under both George W. Bush and President Obama. I watched those missiles hit targets. I saw the people going in and out. I saw the efforts by Department of Defense and others to deconflict to the greatest extent possible, to hit only the target, the individual they were looking for, to be as tactical and as surgical as they could be. They can't always be. And so if you really look at it, and if you want to be fair, liberal-minded if you will, we're now with the third president. All three presidents have had substantially the same rules of engagement for our men and women, both at DOD and CIA and other places, which is to go after known bad guys, if you will, and to deconflict the greatest amount possible. Those policies and those people have not changed. So one of the most healthy things you can do is you can talk about whether or not a policy is likely to bring war to an end, terrorism to an end. But when you look at the men and women who are forced to make those hard decisions, including a lawyer standing behind a weapon just as much as the actual targeteer, I think you have to take the politics out of it. And for those of us, Republicans and Democrats, and you could talk to Jane Harman or any of the other people that I serve with on the Intelligence Committee, those are hard decisions. And those decisions are not made by the president. They're made by men and women who are trying to get the bad guys and not kill innocents. Thank you.
We can agree to disagree, but thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
We don't have to agree to disagree. Those are all facts.
I mean, I would also say that restraint is lacking deeply in the United States government.
You did go to a liberal college.
I did. Thank you.
No problem.